In this devlog, I'm going to be showing you how I made Rock Race. It all started when I checked out my friend's YouTube channel and saw a short video about a game he had made. It was simple, but very fun. Essentially, you drove a car to dodge rocks, which would eventually roll faster. Then I got the idea that if I made it better, it would probably be impressive or something. So I got to work. First, I made smooth movement for the car, and I made the boulders. In this clip, you can see a funny glitch that happened due to a lack of a background. I also got images from the internet. Then I used GameMaker's particle system for the first time to make a fire trial for the car. I ended up making a nitro trial and a futuristic trial later. Here there's a bunch of rocks with rock particles, I don't know why. Also there's a moving background and score counter now. Here's a glitch where he was facing backwards. And here we see that the nitro effect wasn't cleaning itself up, so I could paint with it by restarting the room. This is when I decided to make destructible rocks to incentivize the player to move more. You can run, Crash Bandicoots, but you can't hide. Mwahaha! Now that's some nice time freeze and screen shake. Here I tried seeing what would happen if I reversed the game speed, and here I added that to a button for fun. This clip demonstrates how destruction works, because nothing is really being destroyed. Instead, I move things off screen and tell them they're inactive so that the timing stays the same and to help with performance. In this part, I added a futuristic trial to the rocks and randomized the image of the Crash Bandicoot. And by this part, we see a lot of changes. I added the combo meter, pausing, different internet images, and a high score system by now. However, for some reason the spinning was hard to get right. Here, I just added sound effects with a scaling pitch, and I edited the background, along with blurring it based on the difficulty to give a sense of speed. Then I realized changing the pitch based on your combo wasn't working, so I randomized it instead. This is how the game looked with a few new test sprites, and the cars were now randomized too. I'm not a great artist, and it's my worst field in game jams, but I wanted to replace the barrels with rocks to reference the original game, and because my brother said it made no sense for there to be barrels on the road. He still thinks it doesn't make sense, but it's part of my game lore now, so who cares? I also made the screen warping from one side of the screen to the other by making two copy cars on either side of the car, and I made the pause menu that lets you swap between cars. I made it default to some tutorial dialogue but also randomized some funny messages when you die. I also added music to the game. I wanted chase music, but I'm not good at making music, and I use Chrome Music Maker anyways, but I did make a different track for when you're paused. At this point, this video is very out of order, but I also made a slow motion effect that makes the screen black and white when you die. The whole game is playable with a controller, and I took a while adding Opera GX Challenge integration to it, but there wasn't much more to do. I originally had the room scale to the window, but that kind of broke the game in Opera GX, so I updated the camera to scale the room using ratios, but it can still toggle to the original with right-click. Left-clicking the screen can also toggle your mouse and make it invisible. Also, I forgot to mention how the combo gauge works. Basically, every time you hit a rock, you get +1, but if the gauge times out, you lose the combo. You get points from just driving, but every time you hit a rock, it's combo times 25 points, and a bit of text shows you your score. I also added some gem particles so that the rocks would fit the lore, and that was basically it. Now, time to compare the two games. My game has fake lag that for some reason is worse with bigger windows, and is even worse if you skip the starting cutscene, so that starts me off badly, but it is avoidable. Also, even though I made a trailer for it and tried making a cool animated thumbnail for it, it got 0 downloads on itch.io, but it did get some plays on Opera GX. Also, only one person tried using the leaderboard. G3O-Mitri's game had good music that encouraged me to have fun taking risks, and my game's music sounds like this. However, I do think my game looks better, because his doesn't have animations or particle effects. His game also had a much better difficulty scaling than mine, and is very addicting, whereas my game is RNG dependent and doesn't encourage you to play much. Maybe I should have made some skins unlockable. Lastly, I hardly have a menu, whereas he has these super cool animated menus that I didn't even think to make because menus are boring. That brings the total score to -3 to 2.